All right, happy Wisdom Wednesday. So this is probably my third Wisdom Wednesday video. It's going really well. I really enjoy filming these videos, mainly because I have a day job that involves a lot of silence and time with myself, which is really weird for me. I'm used to talking to a lot of people. So this is my way to do that. This is my way to connect with all of you out there in the world and to do a little talking. So today's video is actually going to be a continuation from last week. So when I was watching my video back and reflecting a little bit on what I was talking about with being an empath and what it means to be actually what's happening when we're being triggered, I was creating that video more so like for empaths, but more so for those of you out there who like see or encounter friends or family or strangers who are highly sensitive and are triggered by things. Maybe it's like a political post you put up on Facebook, or maybe it was something you thought wouldn't trigger sensitivity at all and someone freaked out on a comment or freaked out on you and sent you a message and you kind of thought, like there's so many people who are so sensitive. So that's kind of what I was talking about last week and explaining about, well, I won't go into it too much. I'd love for you to just go and find the video and see what I talked about. And I explained what's happening when so many people are, this whole generation is super sensitive and triggered about things, what's really happening. So this week is about solutions for that. For those people who do feel like they're just trigger all the time, and they feel like, some people call it like energy leaking. Some people feel like, being an empath, a big part of it that people struggle with is that when they are around other people, they take on the other person's emotions and they take on the other person's feelings, and all of a sudden they have this shift in state and they don't understand why, and they get kind of trapped in it. And I speak this because I speak truth. This is something that I've definitely experienced and do still experience, a little bit less than I used to. But I definitely understand what it means to be an empath for sure. So, tip number one. One of the things that has really helped me over the years is, for those of you who live in big cities, I'm going to speak to you a little bit here because I live in a big city, and so that's been my experience. But maybe you can apply this to like a smaller town, or maybe even just like in your home with your partner or with a friend or family member. So what I started doing, because I would say maybe like 2 years ago, I remember sitting down with friends and family, and we were talking about kind of like taking on other people's energy and being on the subway. And I was explaining that I had such a hard time being on the subway that I got to the point where I didn't even want to ride the subway anymore, because I'd get on there, and especially in the winter, I was like a suction cup for everyone's negative energy. And I didn't know what to do with it, and it was so overwhelming that my heart would beat faster and I'd feel all kinds of feelings, and it was awful. And I eventually realized like that dense energy I was feeling was just like sucking it up, and I just thought that's just who I am, and I'm never going to be able to get rid of that, and it's frustrating, but that's just what it is. Over the years, just by paying attention to that and realizing, well, I can't just stop riding the subway. I've got to get from A to B, and it's just part of my life here in Toronto, in this big city. So what I started to do is dropping more into the vibration of love, and realizing that, I don't know when it was that it happened, but it was like a shift in a state of consciousness, a realization that I'm no different than the people sitting around me. We're all the same. And out of nowhere, this came to me, this idea to connect like a thread of light from my head to the heads and the bodies and the people all around me. So like I'd start with maybe the person sitting beside me, and then to the next person beside them, and the next person beside them, and it keeps going around. I just imagine, like, I'll have to close my eyes to do it, and just imagine like a golden white light, like a thin thread moving, connecting us all. And often it helps to actually start from my heart. You could start from your head, but it helps to go to the heart, so that you're opening the heart space. And And that helped me to connect us and just feel like there's this really lovely, soft energy running through all of us. And it helps to remind me, okay, we're all the same. We're all light beings. We're all full of light. We're all full of love. Excuse me. And and it kind of softens things a little bit, and it sometimes it's just a little bit, and sometimes it's like, whoa, I really feel that, and like I feel a big expansive feeling in my heart. I feel more calm, and I really feel a lot more purpose. I think for me, and maybe some of you out there who are light workers, who are empaths, you might feel like because you can take so much energy and receive so much energy, life becomes dense, and then it's like, why am I here? What, like, this life is so dense, this is so hard, and we can kind of get into this loop. So this helps me to connect to my feet. It helps to, and you could even imagine the thread going from your feet and connecting to the feet of all the people on the train. And it's a really, really beautiful practice, and I really recommend it for you. You might not even know you're an empath, but if you find you just get on the train and you feel heavy and out of nowhere it just feels dense, you're likely taking on other people's energy, and you're likely, like, I mean, everyone's an empath. That's just depending on the level and how sensitive you are to it. So that's the first thing I would recommend. And you might start to feel just like a little more grounded, a little more connected to people around you, to the people in your city. You're not alone. Life has a purpose, you know. The second tip is, what was my second tip? I just blanked. Yes. So awareness. Just having, one time someone reminded me of this, that I think we were talking about it, and I might have been reading it somewhere on social media, but, or you know what, I think I've even just like been reminded of what an empath is over the years, and so I've just reflected on it a lot, and it's something that's really interesting to me because I'm interested in this stuff. I think this is what's helped me to find solutions with this. Like anything, if you're interested, solutions will come. So knowing that I am an empath and I take on other people's emotions, sometimes we do that so subconsciously that we don't notice. And it's not until maybe someone else brings it up or you start to notice it in your own daily life that you can start to kind of shift things. So what I've started to do is just like develop awareness and practice over the years. And the other day I found that I was so highly aware of it that what happened is I was in one state that was like completely calm, completely content, you know, just not up, not down, just like a nice energy and a nice energetic state. And then the person I was with left the space we were in, and that person was upset. And then I noticed, and I could sense that they were upset, but they didn't want to say it entirely. Like it was kind of like a little bit passive aggressive. They left the room, and then I instantly noticed that my my state shifted, and I started to get heart palpitations, and I started to get anxious, and I was immediately like, whoa, what, like, why do I have heart palpitations? Like, I didn't, you know, sometimes when I eat chocolate or have coffee or whatever, and I thought, did I eat something? Like, is something kicking in? Because it was the same kind of feeling I get when I like have some stimulating food. It wasn't that. It was just that they took on this person's anxiety. And because maybe I've had anxiety myself, I know the shift quite well now. I know what it feels like to be content and then to go from, you know, a trigger, something triggers you and you go into an anxious state. So that was really cool that I was able to notice it and be like, whoa, this isn't mine. So what I did is I took my hand and I put it on my heart. And I talked to the person. You can say it internally. You can say it out loud if you want. And just setting that intention for that person, just like you set an intention on the train. It's all about intention. It's okay. You don't need to feel anxious. Everything is well in the world. I love you, I love you, I love you. Saying I love you with lots of intention. It's okay. You don't need to feel anxious. You're taken care of. I love you. And you can just keep going with that practice and finding whatever words come to you and spend a few minutes doing that. And it shifted things. It you know, it took me a little bit of time, but it definitely shifted the energy that I was feeling that I now recognize wasn't mine. And the minute we can say, hey, that's not mine, it's such a beautiful feeling. Because sometimes our feelings are ours and we need to own them. But if you find all of a sudden you go from perfectly content and calm to anxious out of nowhere, and you're maybe in a group of people or you're with someone who happens to be anxious, pay attention to that. Like again, this has been like the thread in my last few videos, is this idea of like paying attention to patterns, either inward patterns that you have in yourself or patterns that you notice around you, because like intuition's such a powerful thing. My cat's playing with my ring. Intuition's such a powerful thing, and if we could all tap into it, I really think we'd live in a very different world. So those are just 2 tips that you can take on if you find that you kind of suction for people's energy and you don't know how to deal with it and you've just kind of accepted it as, shit, this is the way my life is. It doesn't need to be this way, and you don't need to always feel triggered, and you don't need to be a suction cup for other people's emotions that don't belong to you. Other people's energy and motion belongs to them, and it's for them to resolve, and you need to give it back to them and live your life in peace, because we, like I said last video, we all want peace, and that's what I want for you. Happy Wisdom Wednesday. Have a beautiful week.